I hope my music reflects that. I'd be like, God damn, this guy must have like 15-minute long, trippy, fucking just like stream of consciousness freestyled. And I was like, nah, mate, you know, guitar and drums, baby.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm joined by Jordan Stevens for the latest in Enemies in Conversation series. How's it going today?
Good.
Awesome.
I feel good today.
You feel good?
Because I've drunk a lot of water.
It's good for your brain function, apparently.
Internal bath, internal bathing.
So you've got a single coming out called Star.
Yes.
What can you tell us about it? Like, when did you write it?
The song itself has no form, really. It's kind of a formless stream and a vibe. It's just a vibe, and I think I'm excited about it coming out in that way because it centers the lyrics, I suppose, and the feeling of the song rather than, you know, a chorus or. And also the last like minute itself is pretty much just a beat.
Huh.
And I thought, yeah, I would like that. I think I would like to just listen to that. It's kind of a bit trippy and as you zone out. The lyrics themselves, I wrote quite quickly. Well, no, I didn't write quite. It's a tough one. That when I say that, I instantly catch myself like, oh, that like it's a reflection of quality. But I think for me, I get inspired by something, and then I'll have access to this flow, and then I can just write. And sometimes I actually don't really know what I'm writing until it's done, and I look at it back and go, oh, whoa, or I do know, but deeper in me, not consciously. Anyway, I'm making it sound like whatever, but it's not that deep. I wrote a song about grief, generational relationships, heartbreak, and also the fact that all of this emotional bondage and breaking goes on in life constantly, and then everyone's trying to be this special someone, everyone's trying to be a star. Everyone is, but it's a bit more cryptic than that, as I say.
How did, like, you say like it hasn't got a typical structure. Did you kind of set out to write something that wasn't like conventional, or did it just kind of happen?
So I wanted to write, I had a moment of inspiration in my house, listening to other music. And I think what I really wanted, I wanted to write a song that just goes like, I don't know, I just wanted to grab someone sonically. Huh. So the first two, like literally it starts and it goes, no way, you suck. That's the first thing. You can go and find your own way, get fucked. Like that's like...
Yeah, that is grabbing someone.
Yeah, it was just like, no way, you suck. I was like, no way, you suck. Like, I love it when a song's got like at the very least, you know, that first lyric, like you're in. And so I just wrote this off the back of that. No way, you suck. You can go and find your own way, get fucked. And then it kind of carries on into this form. And then when I was making it with my friend Adam, you know, he was just playing the guitar and I was just like, it's all in it. It's all in the song. I just was like, fuck, you know, whatever. You know, the main lyric in the song is, that I've had in my mind for a minute is, I put the star in bastard, you know?
Wow. And
that's, I think, quite a good encapsulation of my life. You know, because it's just like that word in itself is so loaded. Like, you know, because literally, I am a bastard. Of course, there is a colloquialism, you know, evolution of it to just be a bastard, but I've always found that quite fascinating, you know, that to be born out of wedlock.
Is it kind of taking ownership of the word in a way, making like a joke out of it?
Yeah, I'm most certainly thinking of it in its true sense, you know, and then actually and then I suppose with the theme of the other lyrics, it does take on the other meaning as well, where sometimes it's difficult to differentiate between a star and a colloquial bastard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like you have to get there to be, you know, a lot of stars are, you know, unlikable people sometimes. I don't know. It adds to that. I know, but it was more. It definitely initially was talking about just me coming from, you know, two people who have had, you know, in complex, crazy lives. My mum and dad, you know, and then I'm born, and then I've got my own shit, and then for some reason, I'm in everyone's fucking face, like, and everyone's trying to compete to be there. Honestly, I only sing for about a minute and a bit, so you know, this is a real essay on a small, but I do mean it. I do mean it.
Why does it make sense to release this song after Wicked, which you put out at the end of July?
Honestly, the reason why I want to release this song now after Wicked is because the project I plan to release, as it stands, shows my mind is I have many different passions, and with music, I love loads of different kinds of music genuinely. I know it's like the most fucking typical answer to anything, but I do genuinely have a love, not necessarily like the craziest amount of love, but for all different kinds, genres of music. So I just found naturally, as I was creating this project, I was moving from a kind of moody indie sound, which I played with previously in a band I made called Wildhood, just after Rizzle Kicks. But then I started making this like housey stuff, not so much house, but like funk, kind of funky, housey inspired, upbeat stuff, you know? And then Wicked was kind of just upbeat indie, you know what I mean? It's all kind of following this mood. And some of the more upbeat ones that with poppy hooks and stuff, they seemed more obvious as ways to capture people. But I wanted to reflect the more mid-tempo part of the project. And I struggle sometimes to gain a perspective on music I make. I like it for brief windows of time, and then I can quite easily dislike something that I've created. I have a real conflicted time with that, actually. I've historically just sat on albums, not released like loads and loads of work out of just conflict and inner critics. But I sent this stuff, I just thought, fuck it, I sent people my demos, and people fucked with Star. I don't know what it is. I genuinely think it's because it's so instant. People were like, yeah, fuck it. So I was like, all right, well, I feel like I make music just as much for other people as for myself, maybe more, if I'm being honest.
How long have you been working on this project for? Because I guess sometimes if you've been working on songs for a long time, you might kind of feel like you've moved on from them, yeah.
I promised myself at the start of the year that I would release a project because I had made a collection of demos over the course of a couple of years. Yeah, some of them more recent, but some that I plan to release are even as old as like 3.5 years old.
Huh.
But, you know, I'm like literally bringing them back from previously dead projects and being like, no, actually I like that now. Or I'm like reworking it. But then again, the last song on the project at the moment, I made like last month.
Huh.
Yeah.
What's gonna, like, if it's like hitting a lot of different genres and
Yeah.
it's been written over a long kind of period of time, what's going to be the common thread that kind of holds it together? Or is it meant to be deliberately eclectic? Is that the kind of thread?
Yeah, I kind of cross my fingers that people can... No, I tell a lie. I have ordered it in a way where it does feel like it goes on some kind of journey. It's like I'm listening to this music and I'm trying to gather what I'm saying to myself or to the world, trying to figure out like what is it that what topics am I grappling with? Because then I can start to form what the story is, or the album, or the project title, or whatever. You know, it's all coming together. And it seems to be a commentary on, yeah, like, as with every artist, probably identity and, you know, and my relationship with my parents. But ultimately, I'm fascinated with sex and death. You know, I'm just like fascinated with that shit. I'm fascinated. I'm a big fan of psychedelics, and I just can't believe that the point at which you climax is supposedly the same moment of transcended bliss as when you die, and it's in that moment that you create life, but you feel empty. And it's just those constant paradoxes, or oh my God, when women experience labour, you know, the stories I've heard from women, you know, like, close to me, you know, that you're on this in limbo between like life and death, and creating this through immense pain. I don't know. It really trips me out. I don't know if my project will reflect that, but you know, it's breakups, heartbreaks. You know what I mean? It's like when someone dies and when you leave someone, like that's the same fucking pain, but just in a different way.
Isn't like the French, or like a French term?
Yeah, fascinating.
It says it all.
Yeah. A little death.
This is a really morbid question to ask.
Please.
Have you ever been with someone when they died?
Have I been with someone as they've died?
No, have you been by their side, like with like a family member or anything?
No, I haven't. I mean, I saw my grands pretty late on, but no, I haven't. It drives society as a fear of death, a fear of getting old, a fear of getting near it. Do you know what I mean? Fear of dying alone. And the older I get, I think we should be way more into death. You know, I think you can die and still be alive. I actually would argue that you need to die to actually be alive. I feel like I've killed myself or killed versions of myself so many times. Majorly, I say 3 or 4 times, a version of me has died, you know? And as I've got older, I've learned how important that process is. So I just kind of want to normalize the conversation around death and letting go. I'm ultimately talking to myself, you know, I don't know everything, but this is just what I'm picking up as I go along.
It's so fascinating when you read, like you hear from people who believe that they've had like a near-death experience. They talk about like floating or feeling peaceful or whatever. Like whenever I read something like that, I just think, wow, like to have had that kind of moment and then come back must be so, I guess, comforting in a way, because it takes away the fear if you think you've had that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've smoked DMT before, and it took me a minute. It took me like 3 or 4 attempts to break through what people call the veil. And I smoked it in bark form, so it wasn't like ayahuasca. So DMT is in ayahuasca, which is, I think, super trendy now. But you get like, I think it's like a 9-hour trip or something. But DMT just in itself is like 15 to 30 minutes, I think. And I've struggled the first 3 times to like let go. And then on this 4th time, bro, I just went into this space. Actually, I won't. It was just this kind of infinite, like, oh man. And I honestly felt like I was coming for like 20,000 hours. And I didn't know that time didn't exist. And it sounds so wild. And I'm cautious actually about talking about it because of how, I don't know. Anyway. Has it affected?
It was beautiful, but when I came back, I do distinctly remember thinking, like, life is quite funny actually.
Has it changed your perspective on things, having had that experience?
It did change my perspective on things at the time. I think over the course of time that unfortunately, because of the ruthless nature of our society, I didn't have the time to indulge in the revelries of my interdimensional experience. As much as I'd like to have done. I think, to be honest, it's my responsibility to continue a routine and maintain that connection, whether that's through meditation or whatever, and I didn't really, you know. But for 3 months on my life, nothing bugged me. Nothing bugged me. I was forgiving people that I had like stupid beefs with. Like I didn't have road rage, nothing. I was just like, well, what's the fucking point? This is a joke. We're all, like, how the fuck are we even worrying about shit when this is possible through smoking a fucking tree? Like, why is everyone talking to me about, do you know what I mean? Like magic, I've honestly experienced this magic before. It's truly magic, it's wild. Like, we're out here creating like VR headsets. You can smoke bark and go to another dimension. Like, what? It's mad. You look into the research of DMT, it's crazy. But anyway, apparently your body naturally produces this when you die and when you dream. And you leave your body. So, you know, perhaps there is a comfort in being like, well, if that's what I felt, if that's a taste of what it's like to die, then, you know, when the time comes, I think there's nothing to really be afraid of.
Do you want to smoke this DMT again, or is it something?
When the time's right, yeah.
It's not something you want to overdo, I guess.
I've since smoked it in a less ceremonial fashion, and I wouldn't suggest that. It was all right, but it wasn't the same. You have to treat that shit with respect.
Yeah. This question's going to feel really mundane after we've been discussing life and death.
No. I always I'm feeling like mad self-conscious that I'm coming across like that is making me sound deeper than I am.
That's really interesting.
Okay.
I was like, wow.
I hope my music reflects that. I'd be like, God damn, this guy must have like 15-minute long, trippy, fucking just like stream of consciousness freestyled. And I was like, nah, mate, you know, guitar and drums, baby. So yeah.
Yeah, so you've described it as a project. Is it definitely a project and not an album, or is there no difference for you? Like, because we're in this weird place now where things have. Yeah. I never know what anything is.
I don't think for me there's a difference between project and album, but there is obviously, I don't know, some fucking rules or, you know, advantages. There's probably awards you can win, or you see more special sort of stories you can sell. You know, everyone wants that breakthrough debut album, but for me, again, that was part of the promise I made myself, that I'll just release it, man. I'm always going to release music. Honestly, it's almost like I can't stop. I can't stop making music. I really can't. That's why I say I feel like I actually, a lot of me makes it for other people, because it's a wild industry, man, and I just keep putting stuff into it in the hope that certain songs will just aid a person in their journey, including myself. But that means the world to me, to be, even for one person, you know. But there is a special thing about debut album, and I want to try and break that. I definitely just want to release something that feels like a body of work, and onto the next one after that. I should say album, but I actually just don't know, because it might be too long for an album.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know how this shit works, man. It doesn't matter.
How for you do you feel like the industry's changed since like Rizzle Kicks came out 10, 11 years ago? Do you feel like it's changed a lot?
Yeah, the industry has changed massively. There wasn't even Instagram when Rizzle Kicks came out. I remember being in the meeting for Instagram with Island Records, and I was like, absolutely not. I remember they were like, you have to get this new app. What does it do? Take pictures of your day? No. Why would the fuck would anybody want to see my day? That's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. And then now look. And that's the thing that scares me about technology. It just removes all these freedoms really subtly. And it provides you with like a little offering, you know. It goes, hey, why don't you use our platform to show your fans what you're doing in the day? And you're like, oh, this is great. 8 years later, it's like, how many followers you got? No, you can't release any music.
Wild, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't release shit unless you're on our fucking platform now. Yeah, remember when I said to you, remember when the deal was that you get to post a cute little picture? Now we own your shit. We dictate how important you are. And I'm just like, that's mad to me. And someone literally said to me, a good song isn't good enough anymore. That was an actual statement I had from somebody who works for one of the biggest music channels in the game. And for me, I think it's a shame. But, you know, you have to move with the times, roll with the punches. For some people, that's all they know. But it is very tactical, I think. On the plus side, you have more access to your own, you know, unique fan base, and arguably you can create your own world and empire and live off that. And more artists can live off that than ever before, and I think that's a positive, for sure. But superstars are gone, I think. I don't think that's a thing anymore, but maybe that's not such a bad thing.
It's interesting now, because there are artists who like haven't had like what you would call a conventional hit, but they have huge online followings and can play really quite big gigs.
Yeah, so, do you know what I mean?
Which kind of in a way means that they can bypass the major label system. Some of them can, or seem to. Which
I think is quite cool.
Yeah, which is interesting, but I guess it just depends. Not everyone can do that, but some have found a way.
Some. You have to be pretty lucky. I mean, still, I've found, as time's gone on, the labels are slowly finding a way to just grab some of that power back. But, you know.
How do you feel about TikTok? Because I guess if you were having a meeting with a label now, that is what they'd be telling you
to
do.
TikTok. Trying to get used to it. I think conceptually, I'm bang into it. I was recording myself dancing fucking years ago. Honestly, I used to put it on my Instagram every morning, me dancing. And then 2 years later, they're like, oh, have you seen this app? What's on it? Everyone's just dancing. I was like, the fuck? Why didn't I think about monetizing? Anyway. Yeah. But at first, wasn't into it. I definitely don't get the trend dancing stuff, even though like low-key created a dance when I was younger. But I suppose it is the pinnacle, perhaps. My cousin thinks it's the pinnacle of social media. He thinks it's only downhill from here now. Like this, you can't get more. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't find a more solid meeting of like video, audio, educational, entertainment. It's everything. It's like everything on crack. It's TikTok.
And it's like, it's it's creative, isn't it? Like, whereas like
it is
on
quite
Instagram,
creative.
you can be quite sloppy. You can just like take a shit picture of what you're doing that day. Whereas what seems to work on TikTok,
people put in effort. Yeah, I know.
It's kind of
I get that. I'm a little worried about, you know, life being full of like content farms. You know what I mean? Where people are just like desperately trying to make content of their existence in order to maintain their existence. It gives me a little bit of like, makes me kind of want to smash my phone. But what I thought was funny about TikTok is, didn't they post up a thing where it was like the guy who invented TikTok sold it for like 44, I want to say billion?
Shit.
4.4 billion, 44 million. It was a fucking shit ton of money. And he was recorded as going, now he's gonna like daydream and read. And I was like, you have like millions of like children basically forcing themselves into like anxiety inducing content farming hell. And you're just there on the lake being like,
off the grid, yeah.
Fucking love this shit. You know what I mean? I was like, God damn it, you should be making more TikToks. You should make your fucking TikToks, whatever his name is. And I saw my friend repost it, it was like the dream. I was like, I couldn't live with that. I couldn't live with that, but TikTok's alright.
Have you ever like done like a digital detox and said, right, I'm gonna keep off all this stuff for a week?
Yes.
You've done that? And did you enjoy it?
Yes. I with my mental health campaign, I'm Whole, we created a digital detox day. It's actually last Saturday. But we're like working at getting it more in the fucking calendars, you know what I mean? But listen, the elephant in the room is we don't need that shit.
Yeah.
There's no debate. It's anti-human. But when you do use it, you get fun things like money for posts. You get like validation. You get to feel good about yourself. You can feel shit and then post up like a beautiful selfie, and then someone goes like, "Oh my god, you're so lush," and then you're like, "Oh my god, I feel better about myself." And then, like the existential doom of existence creeps in, and then you're just like, "What the fuck do I do with my life?" and all that kind of shit. I think ultimately people are more than capable of realizing that all their self-worth and value exists in this beautiful, like, I don't know, I feel like it's this golden chamber within you, and you can like let it shine out and just be joyful that you're just breathing. Like that is available to people, but that idea is seen as kind of like hippie, like it's seen as kind of like, oh, that's just something that, like, I don't know, some like cool white liberal fucking parenting bullshit. I don't know what the fuck people think it is, but it's ancient shit, you know? I heard an interview the other day, of people going back to work. It was the busiest morning in Charing Cross since last March. And people were going like, yeah, I'm working in the city 3 days a week now. And they're like, how are you enjoying that? I was like, yeah, I could do 4. Like 2 or 3, 4 people talking about how much they enjoyed going back to work. And I was thinking, man, this is wild, man. We're like in this, like, we're like hamsters in these wheels, and we just forgotten we're even there. And then the idea of coming off the wheel, it's like we don't understand what our legs are doing. So it's just like, put me back on the fucking wheel, man. I can't stop these legs. Like, and it's like, dude, you don't have to be on the fucking wheel. You can just like sit there and drink water.
It's weird how some people want that kind of pace and that structure. Like they
I understand the idea of structure, and I understand the idea of purpose, goals. I do get that shit. I really do. And I understand social media. Listen, there's some beautiful things. I've met friends through social media. I've created songs, from people I've connected to on that. I get it. I really, really do. But it's all within this box, It's all within this like idea or kind of infrastructure. But I genuinely feel most connected at the moment when I leave my phone and I'm in Margate and I walk down to the beach with my dog. I run for like 4.5 kilometers, jump in the sea, go to the cafe. Bro, I just sit in the cafe. All my life, I just sit in the cafe, which seems like a forgotten art. Like I literally don't have my phone. And it's the most peaceful I feel. It would be a dream also with my girlfriend being there too. But she was away when I was doing this most recently. I feel really peaceful, And even when I'm with my girlfriend, again, the most connection when the phones are gone. It is what it is. Laptops are cool.
As you said, like you live in Margate and you grew up in Brighton. Do you think being by the sea is good for your mental health?
I actually lived in Neasden until I was 10. I grew up in London,
okay.
yeah. And then it depends how you define grow up. I moved to Brighton when I was 10. I never really got in the sea in Brighton, to be honest.
Huh.
I was by it a lot, but I never got in it. It's only since I don't know why I went to Margate. I had got a place there years ago, like maybe 6 years ago. But now for me, the sea's important. It was the last lockdown when we had those beautiful weeks of sun at the very start of it, and everyone was fucking freaked out, so the beach was just empty. And I was there with my dog, and I was like, yeah, man, this water is, it's just powerful. Water's just powerful, isn't it? You know what I mean? And my friend thinks you can get you actually do get the kinetic energy off the waves anyway.
Yeah, I think there's something in that.
But it's not, I wouldn't say it's important for me, but being around nature generally is important for me now. Yeah, as I get older, it's mad, man. I just like silence. I like silence and the breeze. Yeah.
This is actually what you're talking about with like social media and what you choose to like give your time to, kind of leads on to this question, which is you tweeted recently about being unboxable, in that you feel like you don't want to be defined by doing one thing. So I was wondering, bearing in mind that, you know, you've presented, you've acted, you've done music, you've got your own like mental health campaign. Like, how do you pick what you devote your time to? Because presumably you could kind of do anything.
Yeah. Well, I can't do anything. I always have a fear that it's the jack of all trades vibe, mate. Okay. Pisses me off. Like sometimes I talk to somebody who does a singular thing and is getting really good at it. I think, oh man, you know, I get that, 10,000 hours or whatever, you know what I mean? It's funny that you picked up on that tweet. I have a real thing with confidence, like a conflict. I find it a bit weird at the moment because I wonder if we're in a space now where we're all billboards, we're all marketing ourselves constantly, curating how people see us, deciding what we want people to see. And with artists, musicians, I see a lot of them, well, yeah, the ones I know, I suppose, or within my reach. Some of them are like super confident about their shit. Like they'll be on there and be like, yo, I can't wait for you guys to hear my next song, or like I'm actually, or like I see like I'm the best at this, or and it's like you see it and everyone's like that shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, go get yours. Like, but for some reason that just doesn't exist in me. I don't have that. I'm maybe quietly confident about some things, but I never think I'll go like, yo, da 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 da. But I kind of want to, and I feel like maybe sometimes I think I think, well, maybe that's what people need, you know? They need confident leaders. They need to be like, yo, listen to my fucking music. I am a great writer. I'm underrated. Do you know what I mean? And I've never quite crossed that threshold. But that tweet was, funnily enough, me trying to gauge that, like, where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I am confident about that. I am unboxable. It is a thing, you know? I was trying to gain a perspective on myself. I don't really look at we can't have an idea of how you're viewed, really. But I thought, well, fuck, man, I do a lot of stuff. And musically, you know, or with acting or whatever I do, I just think I just have this ability to, like, just fucking morph into shit, man. Like, I can talk to anybody. I want to talk to anybody. That's one of the gifts of, I suppose, the way I was raised, being mixed race. You know, I suppose it's kind of a bizarre having a balance of different cultures. I feel like I can walk into any kind of room, different cultures and classes actually. I can walk into most rooms and I'll just like fucking start talking to people or build up a friendship or whatever, and then I just have a go at anything. That's literally why I end up in this stuff, because I'm just like, okay, that's literally it. Okay, you know? Jordan, do you want to present this show? Okay. If I like it, sure, I'll give it a go. I never presented a show. I never hosted a show before I did it. You did a good job. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, you know, do you want to, you should make more music. Yeah, great, you know. Do you want to do this audition? I'll give it a go. Do you know what I mean? That's literally, that's just my attitude towards life. Is like, I'll give it a go. At the moment, I'm doing a fucking painting for someone. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even, honestly, of all the fucking skills, I never even thought, I've done this painting, people are like, oh, that's a good painting, you should do another one. I'm like, what? You know? Like, what the fuck, man? But as I am getting older, I feel, you know, my passion, my love for writing in a long form is starting to really form. So perhaps maybe in the future I will start to just, you know, because a part of me is still in this system, I'm still in this machine, I'm not kind of out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe in the future I'll be like, no, fuck, I'm just going to sit by the beach and just write what I want. And then I'll figure out what it is that truly, or I'll miss doing everything at once, you know?
Well, it sounds like you have like a certain type of confidence if you feel like you could walk into a room and kind of get on with people and take on projects. It's just not the same confidence as kind of like projecting it and using it as a kind of sales tool.
Well, also oddly, I feel as though my outward facing confidence is often an overcompensation for fear. You know how people react to things differently. Some people will like close up, or I definitely have historically used like charm and comedy as a defense mechanism for my own discomfort, you know? And then I genuinely have a curiosity with people. And in terms of performance, yeah, I would say, like, listen, music, I feel like I can always improve, and I want to get better at singing, and I love it when I write a good lyric. That makes me quite happy. And acting, I think I'm natural in front of the camera. I'm a natural performer, but that's a whole craft. I've seen actors really go into it, and you know, there's another level of immersion there for sure, which is possible. If I was to talk about confidence of presenting itself, like hosting, whatever, like if I'm being really honest with you, I think it's a piece of piss. And it's one of those weird things where, you know, people have suggested I do more presenting or hosting or whatever. But I just, at this moment in time, for some reason, it doesn't particularly, being in front of a camera is not a stress to me. Dealing with people isn't a stress to me. But ironically, that's something that I don't really want to pursue because it feels like a massive commitment. You have to smile all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You got to be all up on your Insta stories and shit and Twitter, and you got to be like, and like, you know, I've done a tiny rounds of the celebrity shows and it's fucking hell on earth, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Why?
I don't know. Some of it's bullshit. Everything's overproduced. No one, the public, don't get to see what really happens behind closed doors. You get edited to fuck, you know. I don't know, man. I just like, I can't be bothered, bro. I'd rather just have a cup of tea.
Well, it's interesting you say you think it's a piece of piss, because I think like it's so hard. It seems like there aren't that many presenters because it's really hard to do it in a way that's kind of competent and not be annoying.
Yeah,
I don't
true.
want to mention names, but like lots of presenters you watch them like, ugh. To find people who can make it seem natural and not kind of cringe. There's not that many of them, are there, really? That's what I think.
Yeah, but you know, like I've lost a presenting job. I was once like, okay, so Don't Hate the Playaz. I've recently done on ITV2. That was a good hosted job because I loved the scene, the people who were on the show. You know, real amazing UK talent, comedy and music. Thought I was wicked. Love Maya, love Lady Leisha. Like I literally adore those people. So that was fun, you know, and I got to go to work with my mates, whatever. But that world of presenting, honestly, I've seen it. Do you know what I mean? Like Maya is like probably the hottest presenter right now, and I see what goes into that, and I just don't think I right now could do that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, it's different for men. I don't really know, man. Honestly, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. If the right offers come along, like I say, I'll give it a go. But I wouldn't mind something, you know, like this. I wouldn't mind talking to people. I wouldn't mind the kind of audio-visual thing. I like this kind of thing with the right production.
But just nothing that's too, like an overproduced kind of game show or something you wouldn't enjoy.
I think once you go there,
you don't get out.
Maybe. There's just something, do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, welcome to that, you know, and I've already, you know, I still even felt that a bit with Playaz, even though I still had that kind of more, you know, it was cooler maybe, but like, oh, I don't know, man. It's like, and everyone's wearing fucking suits and shit, and you're going like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm probably fucking up my future now anyway, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you spoke in the past about directing, and your grandfather was like an amazing director who did the original Brighton Rock, which is wild.
Yeah.
So is that something you can see yourself doing? Because I guess you literally have it in your blood.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a writer-director when I was at college. That was kind of my dream. And yeah, my grandfather is John Bolting, part of the Boeing brothers. Yeah, so like when I was a kid, man, I got to go to like Richard Attenborough's birthday or some shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I met David Attenborough. And like that shit stayed with me forever because just talking to him feels like you're in like planet Earth. Talking to him makes me feel like you're in planet Earth.
So like once you hear that in real life, it must almost feel like you're being narrated to or something.
Yeah, man. I remember it was a bizarre thing. Yeah. So just to explain the link, for Richard Attenborough's first lead role was in Brighton Rock as Pinky, and. So yeah, so there was some connection between my family and his. And yeah, I met David and he went, hello, Jordan. And I was like, whoa. And then he went, have you tried the chocolate fountain? And there was this fucking, and to be fair to him, I was at the chocolate fountain most of the night, to be fair with. And I think I actually put a whoopee cushion under Richard Attenborough as he went to sit down, which I think was met with, some people thought it was funny, others thought that like, you know, I was feral. But yeah, in terms of directing, I think that's something maybe I will, you know, I've been heavily involved with music videos in the past. I definitely see things visually on occasion, and I hope to maybe develop into that. Yeah.
I guess music videos is a really good way in, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. But I've got a lot of ideas that I tried to write down, and perhaps if I really sat down with them, I could also visualize them. I will always visualize them, but plan them, maybe. Yeah.
You touched on earlier your mental health campaign, I Am Whole, which you've been involved with for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Is that right? Why was that the right one for you to get involved with? And what is the kind of most important thing about that campaign, do you think?
Well, no, that campaign was created because I wrote a song called Whole. It is truly from its genesis was my involvement. I'd written a song about being depressed and like anxious. And it was serendipity. NHS came along to a person who I just sent the song to for a completely other reason, and then the rest is history. I didn't plan to do a mental health campaign. I really do believe in trying to be as transparent and truthful as possible as a human being, and I believe in the passing along of teachings or of experience, finding connection with that. I really do believe in that. So I was obviously reflecting how I was feeling at that time. I think I was in my, you know, late mid-20s, whatever that means. I was in my mid-20s, and or just getting to my mid-20s. And you know, I'd had this kind of like, I'd had this explosion occur in my life. I'd been a pop star for like 5 years, and it fucked with my. There's a huge part of it that fucked with my head. You know, maybe not directly the experience, or just the fact that I didn't know myself. Mm-hmm. And then other things happened in my life that were really hard. Pressures were really hard, and I was taking a lot of drugs. And then, so I started writing about it. And then one of these songs, yeah, and the rest is history. But I very much believe in that process, because I really wanted people just to talk. That was it. When it first started, I was like, just talk, man. It's not unusual for people to talk about their mental health. I wanted to normalize that. And now I think everyone talks about their mental health, and now I want people to think more about their body and actually take action in terms of how you can positively affect your mental health.
Yeah, I was wondering like how much you think the conversation moved on. I mean, I thought it was really positive recently, like that Arlo Parks won the Mercury with an album that's got mental health is like a real running theme through that. That feels like a big thing. Not so much that she won an award, that so many people are connecting with it.
Yeah, I think Arlo's a really good reflection of perhaps a greater transparency in a new generation of artists, or maybe a more obvious transparency. I think it would be a bit of a stretch to assume that artists haven't historically spoken about their mental health issues, but there's definitely like a kind of like, one of the things I love most about Arlo actually is her ability to balance kind of, she's very image-based storytelling vibe, and she can come out with these kind of wonderfully flowery, perhaps adjectives, wonderfully flowery descriptions, but then equally just say one, like, I always think that defines like a good, maybe, I wouldn't say she's pop, I don't know, but like a really good artist, a good lyricist, is that ability to run those two lines. Like in her song Black Dog, which is when I really fell in love with Arlo. I loved her from Coca-Cola actually, but she says, oh, what is it? There's the one line she sings in falsetto, kind of after the chorus, and it's so simple. I can't remember what the line is now, but I think that might be new. That might be new. But yeah, I think the conversation's good. I think that it's, you know, literally 10 years ago, the idea of talking about anxiety and depression on an everyday basis and perhaps doing something to change that, I don't think that was as readily available. And I'm talking in London. One thing that I have to catch myself with is that this place we're in now is a fucking bubble, man. Yeah. We're in this kind of weird metropolitan, you know, and we're conversations we're having. We have to remember that we do not reflect the wider country. But I think even the words anxiety and depression are recognised at least in the greater.
Yeah. You know? I mean, 10 years ago, you didn't really hear anxiety as like it wasn't thought of as like a mental health issue. It was just like if you were nervous.
Yeah, feeling. Yeah, and so I think it's good in that respect. I think it's definitely put it on the public's consciousness, the radar. But I do worry a little bit that it's all talk, all bark, no bite kind of thing. A lot of these things become commodified quite quickly. Yeah. Kind of just like clickbaity phrases and just to get people to like things.
So what kind of bite do we need next?
I really think we should like if we fucking mean this shit, if we really care about the well-being of our society, of our communities, of human beings, we would understand that this is what I believe is we've had to move into the space of talking about mental health because the advances that we've been making in technology have been fucking assaulting us. I really think it's been an assault on our consciousness. It's insane what we're able to do. And look, it's really impressive in its own way. It's really brilliant, self-driving cars and shit, But just on an everyday level, waking up and we can read the news, people's comments like, that's a lot, man. It really is. Even if you fucking curate your feed or whatever, it's a lot for your brain. So we've got this assault on our egos and whatever. And of course we started to fucking freak out because these moments when we need to like breathe. Bro, the other day someone released a book about breathing. Dude, like we've forgotten how, he's had to write a book about how powerful breathing is because people have forgotten. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where we're at right now. So I think for me, it's imperative that it's like, you can post all the shit we want, but we actually have to make some community level, changes to ensure that people are with their own bodies. Your mind is a reflection of your body. I very much believe in the gut brain. I very much believe in the power of the two working interchangeably. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you've got to really tell yourself that your body you can get up and do something. Yeah. Sometimes if you just eat the right stuff, your gut will give you enough energy to make you feel like you can take on a day, like for real. But we need to understand that mind-body connection. It's not about like, I've got anxiety and then you go and fucking like just eat pure trash for a week and then wonder why you're sad. Like we need to be real. We have to implement this early. We need holistic schooling. We need to stop. We need to remove this idea that words like holistic, hippie, all these kind of, they have these derogative twists. Some of these parts of our society have even been kind of given this like upper middle class tint, like yoga, or coffees, or like this idea of I'm gonna go and gentrify your shit, and then I'm gonna be super spiritual and destroy, and then fucking. And pay all of you pittance. That's what sometimes comes up in my mind. But actually incorporating, allowing children to understand stuff like meditation and interpersonal relationships, that is imperative. Why are you not taught as a kid how to deal with being sad? Yeah. And why are you not taught what to do with joy? Why are you not taught, like, in food tech, I was taught how to make a fucking flapjack, my guy. Like, flapjacks are great. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, what would be great in a food tech lesson? Every morning you can have porridge with chia seeds, flax seeds, blueberries, raspberries. This is why. This is how energy is dispersed throughout the day. This is what the food groups are. I think you learn it in sports science maybe at college. But imagine learning that at school. When instead what we taught about fucking, that chloroform was used as a form of anesthetic, like in the early 1800s. So I think, bro, like, sure, I can pick that route at a later date if I'm really interested in that. But right now, in this little melting pot bit, when I'm like 12, I wouldn't mind knowing that how people work and how my body works.
Imagine if you've been taught that if you're knackered because you've been doing loads of stuff, that it's okay to just like sit still for a day and be quiet and rest. Like sometimes you just need to rest. But we're not taught that, are we?
Yo, do you know what I said the other day? And people disagree with me on this, and I might be wrong. Imagine if school was optional, genuinely. Wow. Like, and I, it's dangerous. And there would be a really fucked up transitional space. But I just feel like we really would be amazing to trust our communities a little bit more, get back to a place of being able to trust our neighbours and I don't know, man. There's only so many times somebody can kick a ball against the wall before realising that they can take their future into their own hands.
Yeah,
you know. And then having a willing participant in something is way different to having someone trapped in a fucking room, being told shit they don't want to know.
Yeah.
But that might be completely mental. Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
What do you want people to think when they hear the name Jordan Stevens? It's a slightly cheesy one.
I just want people to think like Jordan Stevens was that guy who grew, you know? I just want to be a reflection of growth.
Good answer. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
Cheers.